Imagine you're a member-driven organization or association, and you're preparing for your annual or regional conference, and an important percentage of your membership has decided that the location is not something that they feel comfortable with. So they're considering not attending, or what some might call boycotting. What if there was another option? What if there was another way that those people could attend the conference and offset their economic imprint in such a way that it benefits the very population that they support? That's what social offset is all about. Take a listen to Elena Gersman's thoughts around social offset. She, as one of the founders, talks about how social offset is a new solution to a very old problem.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, The Right Kind of Uncomfortable. Today's guest is one of my favorite people that I like to share time and secrets with, if you will. And her name is Elena, but I'm going to give her an opportunity to introduce herself because she's going to have much more magic and flair than I might have. So, Elena, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment and introducing yourself to us in whatever way makes you feel comfortable.
Sure. First of all, I'm the president of the James Pogue fan club. You mentioned that we go way back, but no, I'm Elena Gersman. I'm here today to actually talk to you about a nonprofit organization that my wife and I founded a couple of years ago called Social Offset. That's what I do as a volunteer, and my day job is I'm the executive director of an organization called Informs, which is a professional association for data scientists, operation researchers, analytics, and the like. But today I'm going to be talking to you all about social offset.
So I like to make sure that people understand the business aspect of business podcasts. So from a business perspective, what is the problem that social offset seeks to solve?
The business problem for social offset is about making people feel comfortable in environments that they may not feel comfortable in, and offsetting that uncomfortableness with something that's positive. So social offset is like carbon offset, but for your social values. So if you happen to go someplace and you spend money in a location that you know their state has policies, or their governor has policies that goes against your family's values or your social values or your morals, say, hey, what can I do to actually offset that money spent, that time spent, to actually leave that place better off than you found it, and put money in the charities that are actually doing the good work and the grassroots work on the ground. So the business problem is getting people to go places even when they're not comfortable, in order to support the very people that many of us care about.
So help me understand why I shouldn't just boycott the thing and not go at all. Why should I go and offset my impact into a place that might be more meaningful to me? Why should I just say I'm not going?
So you can, James, right? So one of the things that we feel strongly about is people should do what feels comfortable and safe for them. So what we try and do is an alternative or solution for people that want to go someplace, or if you think about a greater good for going someplace. So our primary audience right now in 2025 is association conferences. So let's imagine there's an association that you belong to, your professional association, and they're having a conference in a location that has laws that you disagree with. You can stay home, right? And when you stay home, you're not participating in that wonder and beauty of that in-person networking. And that networking is about friends. It's about future collaboration. If you think about, let's think about, curing cancer. Well, curing cancer is probably going to start at a conference where there's a bunch of physician researchers who are talking about how can we cure cancer. So that's the importance of in-person professional association meetings. So if you stay home, you don't get to experience that, and people don't get to experience you. So if you go, then you can contribute, and then we give you a solution to try and help you feel more comfortable being there and help people while you're there.
So the idea that you're describing seems pretty straightforward. And it seems also that your connection to the ideas that support it are just as straightforward. So let me ask this a different way. Why is any of this important to you? Why does it surface as something that is so important to take away time from a busy person who's got a whole nother day job, right? And now you've got taken a portion of your time and energy and put it over here. Why does this matter?
So I guess the shortest answer is it matters because it matters to me, my wife, the other folks on the board of directors, the folks that are working on staffing our organization. We want to make the world a better place. And I will go on, but that's the gist of it is like, how can we make the world a better place? And, when my wife and I had the conversation about what it would mean, what does it mean now that we have to travel in a world? And we had this conversation post-Dobbs, which is the anti-abortion law that overturned Roe v. Wade. Like, what are we going to do as we have to travel to places that don't align with our values? And what's so interesting in terms of why we came about this, and we actually just, fun fact, we don't know who said the word social offset first, which is fun because we really don't know who said that. And we love the phrase now, is I view the world from a social justice perspective. I always thinking I was raised in an environment in which, like, what can we do to give back to the global good and the society? And my wife is a certified meeting planner. She views the world through live events. That's what she does for a living. And so it comes together in that, how do we create an opportunity for people to still come together in live events, coupled with how can we do so while still making the world a better place?
And now that you're in your second year, I believe, right? Second year, how has the market responded to your interesting idea? How's it responded to your ideas and ideals?
Well, and I think the world, unfortunately, needs social offset more in 2025 than they have in the past, right? So the reason I say unfortunately, James, is because I wish that I lived in a country that didn't need social offset to exist, right? That I lived in a country that had at its core values that says everybody matters, and that we support people, and we don't have the systemic isms that we have for centuries that we have in the United States. And if we had that, if people supported one another, we wouldn't need social offset, but we need it more than ever. In terms of the market, we see that social offset actually serves three separate markets. So the first audience that we serve are meeting planners who are putting together. Right now, the future can be bigger and grander, but currently our market is threefold, which is the first market is event organizers who are planning an event in a city, in a state that might not align with their attendees' values. And we say, hey, if you're still going to go there, right? And we have research that shows that location boycotts actually don't work, but create a page with us, which means create a campaign with social offset. So we'll create a page that says, okay, for your attendees, here are vetted local charities. And 100% of the donations go to the local charities. Social offset takes not 1 cent from the local donations. And then the second audience is what we call the backbone of our business model, which are the destination cities. So for example, some of our founding cities, visit Austin, visit Seattle, Nashville, Baltimore, and now we have 10 or 15 other cities that are supporting us. You can go to our site and look at all the great cities, and they're sponsoring us as a way to tell their future clients, hey, we get you. We know this location might have an issue, but we sponsor and we promote social offset, and we want to partner with you. And then the third audience are the people that actually attend the event, whether they're attendees, whether they're exhibitors, and they reach into their own pocket to say, hey, I'm going to this city, and I'm going to be paying taxes at my hotel, at the food and beverage and other places. So I want to offset that by giving to a local charity. And what social offset does is it puts all these groups together, and then we work with the local charities to find local charities that are vetted and are solid charities. So we can say, hey, here's some, here are people who visited your city or your state, and this is the money that they donated. And again, 100% of that money goes to those local charities.
When you've talked to leaders of these organizations, whether it be the nonprofits receiving money or the destination organizations, et cetera, how do they talk to you? Or what are they saying to you that suggests this is of value? This was good for us. How do you know that it impacted them the way you want it to impact?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the impact has been, we've shown impact in terms of, I have people coming to us saying, hey, we want to do a campaign with you, like an association, because they heard about it in a pitch deck from a city that said, hey, we partner with Social Offset. And they're like, oh, this city actually gets the fact that we're going to have members that are going to be upset. So that's impact for the sponsors. And then we hear from like event organizers that are saying, like, what is Social Offset? And then how does it play out? And one of the things when they ask those questions is this idea that some people think it's just about Florida and Texas. And the research that we show, and unfortunately I don't have the numbers in front of me, James, but almost every state has a quote unquote problem, right? Whether it's, there's, I think it's over 40 states that have laws on the books that somehow restrict or harm people experiencing homelessness. There's many states with anti-abortion laws or restrictions, groups that are states that have laws and policies that work against Black and brown individuals, queer individuals, and the like. So the list goes on. So when some people say, we're just going to stay away from Florida and Texas, it's like, no, look at this. We have issues. And actually, if we want to leave the places we're going to better off, Social Offset is a safe, easy, seamless way to do that and to partner with Social Offset. As a nonprofit, again, no one's making a dime off of this, and the money's going to the charities.
Well, I want to circle back to something you said about boycotts, because we hear a lot that, especially with some of the larger organizations, who they can only be housed in certain cities because just capacity, hotel capacity, seats, I should say rooms. And they only have a certain number of places they can go. And many of those places are in the quote unquote cities or states that people say, well, that's a little scratchy for me. I at least I would want to pause on it and say, was that really something that I would like to do? What my reading of the data is that if I can characterize it in an analogistic way, there are people that are there that work for that hotel that are a part of the team that you want to support. And when you, Madam Leader, Mr. Leader, say, we're not going to take our conference to ABC City, you're talking about thousands and thousands of people who work at those hotels, work in those conference centers, work in those restaurants, who aren't going to be benefited by the money and time that you spend in that community. And I think that's part of the part that's happening sort of over here, right? I can protest and I can say I'm not going, and by golly, we're going to take a stand. But what about all those people that benefit by us showing up?
Yeah. So 100%, and I'll even go further, James, in that those individuals who might lose their job or not get paid because you boycott that city, they're the ones that are voting to actually overcome some of those laws that you disagree with. So if you have those people lose their job, that's a double whammy for your values. So it's really important that I think that we serve them and we go to those places. The other thing, especially for associations, is most associations have members in every state. So we're pretty much telling those members in that state, you know what, you're not as good as everybody else. So the other thing is that, so Destinations International has research on boycotts of locations, and they show it doesn't work. So we value that research. Other boycotts may work, but location specific for these issues don't work anymore. So they may have worked in the mid-teens or early teens. We have some evidence there, but not in the last 8 to 10 years. The other thing that we have found is that when groups have boycotted and they pulled out of cities, it's actually amplified the voices of the people that they disagree with. So the governors are then standing for a press conference saying, guess what I did today? I got these people to leave our state. And they're no longer looking at the financial ramifications of it. It used to be that because association conferences and concerts bring so much money into the state, the governors and the legislatures knew that they needed to keep some things safe. Now they rather have the soundbite than do the right thing.
Interesting. There's so many ways to kind of, I guess, skin the cat is the thing that was popping to mind, but it's the idea that you have to double click into this word boycott. Because maybe it does work over here. But to your point, within the association space, within the destination world, you have to look at the data that is there for this, right? And make a decision about that. And because if we're not careful, we can get caught up in the phrasing of the time or the phrasing of the moment, say, boycotts are good, I'm all in, and not realize you can be causing harm to the very people and ideas and ideals that you're trying to support.
Excellent. I mean, this idea started with the fact that, in 2019, I was at an airport in Dallas and I had to buy a sandwich from a restaurant that I typically boycott. And so I reluctantly buy this sandwich and I tried to figure out how much of this sandwich cost is actually profit and what percent of that profit could wind up in the CEO's pocket, in which the CEO could give to anti-gay causes. And I was like, I should be giving that money to the other side. And I let that stay with me for a couple of years until this came up. And it's like, okay, this is different. And, boycotts are created, or not all created equal. So location boycotts, we believe, don't work.
Has there been an association CEO or leader that's tapped you on the shoulder, brought you into the corner of the conference room and said, hey, what is it I need to know? How's this thing really working? Why should I even do this? And if so, what do you tell them? In that super secret elevator conversation, right? What and you got 2 minutes, you got 3 minutes to get to, in this person's mind, here's the why. Here's what you need to be thinking about. What would you say?
If you care about having your attendees come and feel good about their attendance there, especially the ones that you believe will be vocal about the location, or that they want to leave the place better off, that location better off. And we know, I recognize that not everybody in their membership will believe the same thing, but there is, whether it's a significant minority or significant majority of their attendees will resonate with social offset. And you can't just sweep their uncomfortableness under the carpet. You have to validate that, I tell them. And if they're interested, they should, go to socialoffset.org and click on create a campaign and see what it's like. And it's going to help them communicate to their members that they understand some of their concerns and they're not just trying to sweep it under the carpet. And won't it feel good when after you leave that event that you and your members have made and have left that place better off than when you found it, whether it's raising money for hunger or homelessness or LGBTQ plus equality, whether it's racial justice and a number of other causes that we raise money for.
So as we're wrapping up, I have 1.5 questions.
Oh, okay.
Here's the one question. There's a ton of change that's happening around us here in 2025 and we're working forward. Lots of disruption, lots of change. And some people see these change as opportunity, right? This crisis as opportunity. And some of these people, some folks are reacting to the change because it's hitting them in the face hardest and first. in today's marketplace of change and disruption, how do you see it as an opportunity for social offset? How does the change help you win?
The change is so very disruptive. I was sometimes my colleagues and I talk about it as a whack-a-mole. Like, we don't know what mole we're going to whack next and where it's going to be. Remember that game? And social offset is just one tool in your toolkit. So you might need it, you might not need it. It might work for this segment, it might not work for that segment. But as you're putting on conferences, or as you're putting on events, or whether it's Taylor Swift going to concerts and putting on conference, she can use social offset also, it's just one tool. It's not going to solve the world. It's not all of the world's problems, right? It's just one tool that might work for you in terms of serving your constituency and aligning with your mission and vision.
My last half question.
Okay.
If I am destination leader, if I am meeting planner, if I am nonprofit, what should I do to find out more? What's the path to get smarter about social offset?
So it's a half question because it's an easy one, James.
That's what I'm going with. If you say half, people say, you know what, the bar of entry is low.
Oh, it is. It is. I love it. So socialoffset.org. So that's the place to go. If you're interested in a campaign, there's a button up at the top that says start a campaign. It will not create a campaign. It will not make It's not mandated. It's not a guarantee that you're actually going to.
And tell us what a campaign is again. If I want to start a campaign, sure. What's a campaign?
A campaign. Let's say you're going to put on a Pogue 2025 conference in Austin, right? And you're the event organizer. You go and you say, okay, social offset, can I create a campaign? And it's going to be, then we're going to create a page for you. It's going to be socialoffset.org/Pogue 2025. And then we're going to talk to you really quickly, or you can say, just handle it yourself. Social offset will pick 3, 4, 5 charities, and we'll create a page for you about why you created this, why you care, and then here are the charities, and then we give you some literature and some QR codes and some PowerPoints to say this is how you can promote it. And that's a campaign that we have, and then people come to that page by clicking on the QR code that we provide to you, and they see your logo, and they see the logo of the local charities that we're collecting money for.
What if I want a charity that's not on your list? I've got a special charity we've worked with before, and I want them to be seen in this as well.
So it depends, James. So some of the tenets that we hold really close to the mission and the vision of social offset is it has to be local. It's about leaving the place that you were better off. It's about enabling the people on the ground, whether it's voting, whether it's influencing their legislature, better off. So it has to be local. So if your charity is local, we'll consider it. But the other thing we're looking at is well-run charities. So we have a vetting process. And again, we're going to say no if they don't align with our vetting. And of course, we're going to say no if the charity itself doesn't align with the values of social offset. So it's an open conversation. We've had over 100 campaigns. I haven't followed it, over $40,000 collected. We want a couple zeros after that in 2025. But this is not an issue for us, which is great. We work well with folks who want to pick charities.
Excellent. So wrapping up, any final thoughts that you have to kind of, we've got people directed to socialoffset.org, but any final thoughts as we gather our thoughts here towards the end?
One of the things is that when Beth, my wife, and I started this, and now we have a board of directors, and it's much bigger than just the two of us, it was really just about doing good in the world. So I love talking to people. I love experimenting. And this is just one idea. So if anybody listening to this or seeing this says, you know what, have they thought about this? Or what about that? Just drop me an email, because I love thinking about these things. And because we're still a startup, we can do lots of different things and experiment. And if you're willing to put your brain on it and have a conversation, maybe we can make the world a better place together. My email is elena@socialoffset.org. So that's ELENA at socialoffset.org. So they can talk to me there. And I guess that's my final word. Plus, thank you, James.
Absolutely. So this is good, and helps people to see one potential solution for some change that's happening, some disruption, some pain that's being caused. I would just add that it also empowers people to think about their own solution.
Yeah.
When they're sitting at the park or with their family and they get an idea, they get a spark, like, what if I were to do it this way? And I see your story as, here's a busy person with a busy wife and a busy life who found an idea, a spark of inspiration, and then drove that inspiration into a set of ideas and collect people around that and then drive some change, right? Because that 40K that turns to 400K that turns to 4 million, that's going to help some people.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you reinforcing a few times, all the money goes to the nonprofit, right? Yeah. This is a pass through that we are just directing the things where the organization wants it to go. So I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you as an inspiration both to me and to other people, and all the hard work that you do. So great appreciation. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, James. I appreciate you as well.